One Bitcoin is now worth over $100,000. So let's just take a moment and let that sink in. One moment of silence. Let's say it one more time. Bitcoin is now worth 100,000 US dollars. If you have been in the trenches with us throughout this bear market, up, down, we deserve this moment. But the job isn't done yet. We are going so much higher. Things are only actually starting to get crazy in the altcoin market, and we are primed for our most explosive altcoin season ever. So in today's show, we celebrate this amazing journey we have all been on together, because to know where we're going, we have to know where we've come from. So that said, guys, I'm so happy you're here. Congratulations to everyone who has stuck it through this bear market, these volatile days, everyone who kept believing. And without further ado, let us get started. We're going to start with the celebratory dance. Thanks to Ivan on Tech for this ridiculous and awesome video. It's ridiculous. It's like carnival, guys. No way. We played it again and again at the gym. For real. It's the craziest thing. I'm gonna pause it. It gets crazier, guys. It gets absolutely crazy. I'm gonna link it below so you guys can go watch it, but it's ridiculous and it's the best thing you've seen in a long time. It'll express exactly how you feel right now to see Bitcoin surging past 100K, because as you can see on my chart right now, and that's with the correction, we're looking at a Bitcoin at $101,000. It went up to 100,004. So we have officially blown past the psychological barrier, because that's what it is. Every time there's a support line, that tests, where Bitcoin's going, it's really just the whole market being afraid of this level, right? Because we haven't been to this new territory, to this new horizon. So anyway, we have officially just blown through it. And welcome to the altcoin season craze, because that's where we are in light of the market. That said, crazy. We're just going to run through a few tweets that really epitomize where we have been this on our journey, both during this, these last few months and years in this bear market or sideways trend that we've been through. But here you have Peter Schiff. He's called Gold Bug. He loves gold. If you hear him on podcasts, he's actually, quite intelligent. But for some reason, he always hates on Bitcoin. At this point, we all believe it's just his brand. Hating on Bitcoin's part of his brand. So it's hilarious. We have a watch guru over here on Twitter commenting, basically retweeting him when he says back in 2019, he says, keep dreaming. Bitcoin is never going to hit 100,000. And then sure enough, today, sure, it took, 5 years, but who cares? Things that are big oftentimes take a long time to move because they're big. Anyway, let's keep going. Haters going to hate, the way they say. So, and okay, just some more hate from Peter Schiff. And, it's the weather at this point. It's kind of funny, but he goes on to say, it's ironic that Bitcoin only hit 100K by buying off politicians and getting in bed with government without expected government intervention. He says this milestone would have never been hit. What couldn't be done in a free market was achieved through the cohesive power of the state. So whatever, potato, I responded to him and I told him, when there is a will, there is a way. Both in terms of how Bitcoin, or we, because we represent Bitcoin, achieved 100K Bitcoin, and in terms of how you find justifications for your dying argument, with all due respect, because I am a polite person. So I told him, who cares? How exciting is this? I'm sure you're holding some too. So, and then I say, you should be celebrating with us. Anyway, and this is probably the sentiment that many Democrats, and I don't mean to stir the pot, especially one that is so like passé, like we've already crossed that bridge. Now we're just looking forward. I'm just revisiting some things for you so you just have some more color on what's going on. But, you're going to have people that are still ignorant of Bitcoin. Maybe you have some in your life. Maybe you don't. If you don't, lucky you. But you're going to have people that are just ignorant. Hate oftentimes comes from people who just don't know any better and they only know what they know. And if all they know is, hate, then that's what they're going to project. And so that's it. It's a wrap. We're done with Peter Schiff. We're moving on. And this is all really quite like encapsulated with what Miles says here. Whether you like him or not, I think his content is great. But this is why we deserve to celebrate, because we've had to put up with criticism like we just read from Peter Schiff. You probably had family members or friends laughing at you. What is this Bitcoin? Oh, you're crazy. What is this magic internet money? Wasting your life. Go get a real job. You're just a bunch of degens, a bunch of scammers. Like we've had to take it all. And sometimes it's been warranted. Sometimes it's been, not personally, deserving, but in terms of the space, because as Miles points out here, we've had to survive like FTX's giant, massive scam and, explosion, which pretty much crashed last bull run. FTX, Luna, its collapse and its fraud as well. Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, Operation Choke Point, Binance FUD with CZ going to jail, all this nonsense. The USDC DPEG, the USDT FUD, months and months of downtrend. So seriously, if you are still here and you're holding Bitcoin and your bags are up, then you deserve this. And I'm so happy for you because this is just a glimpse, bullet points of what we've been through. So who cares what people say? We deserve it and we're going to the moon. That's why I dressed up. Sort of. But as Ansem says here, the job is not finished yet. However, if you look at what he posts here, the flippening within Bitcoin is going to overtake gold, as we've all been talking about forever. I know I've been talking about this almost since the beginning of my channel, and I know influencers or KOLs before me have been saying this for a long time, but we've been saying this and it's finally starting to happen where Bitcoin's value and market cap goes up above and beyond that of gold, and we're already starting to see that happen. So this is amazing. Bitcoin is only at a $2.42 trillion market cap. I'm assuming this means market cap here. And gold is at a 17.936. But gold has been in existence for a very, very long time, extremely long time. I'm actually not sure exactly when the gold ETF came into effect, but gold in itself as an underlining asset, underlining our money, has been around like historically since almost, I want to say since the beginning of time, but that's maybe not true. But that said, we are crowding in on Bitcoin very, very fast because the gold ETF was just approved just this year. Was it April or when was it? It was not that long ago. So it's amazing because as you can see, and this is what gives us a glimpse of what we can expect moving forward, is as you can see on my screen here, there were some huge purchases coming in from some whales just scooping up Bitcoin. So this has been one of the reasons as well as to why Bitcoin's price has been pumping. But you have to remember that if these large purchases came in from whales who are smart money and very well informed and know trends and know the market, then this is obviously because they received a signal that told them the time is now, right? And we are to follow the smart money. So this is one of our strongest signals of how the time is now. Altcoin season is now. The parabolic phase of the bull run is now. So Bitcoin is flying, as you can see. And then here, such a beautiful congratulatory letter from Michael Nadeau at Just Do It. Do it. That's funny. He says, happy 100K to all the crazies out there. P.S. The 30-day change in Bitcoin leaving exchanges, right? The amount of Bitcoin and the value of Bitcoin leaving exchanges is at a second highest level of all time right now. Only the post FTX, right? When FTX had its whole collapse, only right right after that was when we saw the most Bitcoin leaving exchanges. So this is the second time ever in history that we're seeing so much Bitcoin leave exchanges. He says, wild. PPS, I'm sharing a data-driven update comparing my favorite on-chain data metrics to past cycles this Friday with readers. So he's promoting himself. That's great. I'm sure the report's great. So go follow him. And if you want to get this report, get it. He says, okay, so then he goes on to promote himself, right? So if you haven't subscribed, please do all these things. But it's incredible what he says and what this chart demonstrates to us. And once again, it reemphasizes the fact that Bitcoin is leaving exchanges, which is amazing because it means people are not interested in selling their Bitcoin. They're not trying to trade it. They're trying to hodl it. This is a sign if we've ever had one. And next, if you can see my chart here, this is the Bitcoin ETF inflows or flows in general, both inflows and outflows in US millions. And as you can see, the market, the institutional funds, very smart money, but not necessarily crypto smart money. Regardless, they have a lot of advisors, a lot of data points. They have incredible systems actually that can pretty much predict the market. And they have continued on their bullish shopping spree. And as of yesterday's end of business day on the East Coast, they bought a total of $556.8 million worth of Bitcoin's ETFs. So this is massive. And you know, this in itself is also sending a signal to other smart investors. So this is probably some of the best marketing that Bitcoin and the crypto space could get. And then here, just some updates for you guys. If you're a crypto OG, then this may be very interesting to you because I know that many people see crypto OGs, you know, see Michael Saylor as some sort of like superhero in the crypto space, you know, carrying the flag, representing the crypto space, because he also did defend Bitcoin for a long time when, you know, against so much scrutiny from the SEC and top institutional funds. Like he's been getting the heat. He's been receiving the heat and handling it for us. And thankfully now times are changing, as I'm going to get into also in a bit here and share some news on what's going on in the political scene as it affects the crypto market, because politics directly has an influence on the crypto market. But for those of you who care, it's quite astounding. MicroStrategy's stock, the ticker is Mr. MSTR. It surged 10% overnight. Wow. As Bitcoin hit 100K. So now this puts MicroStrategy in a position to be worth now over $40 billion for the first time in history. And the most bullish part of this whole tweet is what Michael Saylor says here when he says, Bitcoin is just getting started, so you have not missed the boat. Maybe you're looking at Bitcoin's price and you're like, oh my God, it just like surpassed $100,000. How am I ever going to afford one? Maybe it's not even worth it. Maybe I'm not going to buy one. I missed the boat. No, you didn't. Bitcoin's just getting started, as you can see here by MicroStrategy. Because if you've seen my past videos, you would know, or just go Google it and you'll find this on your own. But Bitcoin is supposed to go up over definitely over $1 million and up to $13 million in the next 20 years. So you are very, very early. And IBIT, or BlackRock's fund, Bitcoin fund, is now worth over $50 billion. And it took, which is, references yesterday's video. So if you want to go watch that one, it's not too late. So much of the data will still be relevant in helping you understand where we're going and what's happening, because it's so important to do that. So important. Like these next 4 to 6 months are when you need to be glued to the news. You need to be glued to my channel. You need to be glued to Kyle's channel. You need to be glued to like Elio Trades, Ivan on Tech, probably Alex Becker. You need to be, Altcoin Daily. You need to be following the best people in the crypto space and tuned in. Everything else right now needs to be on silence, because these next few months could literally transform your life. Last bull run literally transformed my finances. I was able to help my family. I was able to do so many things, invest in my company, everything. Like it is life-changing money. It's life-changing money making taking time, and it's very important for you to take it very importantly, very seriously. So anyways, back to my reference of yesterday's video. It's very coincidental because, as Eric Balcones says here, it took 228 days for us to reach this milestone. He says the next fastest ETF to reach 50 billion was the IEFA in 1,329 days. I actually don't know what that ETF is, but doesn't matter. The point is, it took Bitcoin only 228 days, and the previous reference, it took over 1,000 days. So Bitcoin has reached this milestone over 5 times faster than any other ETF ever launched. Ridiculous. And I agree, and I'm gonna heart it. So true. Like, it's important to realize how fast it's moving, because when you're caught in the current, you don't know what's up or down or left or right. You don't know if you're moving because you're moving with the current. So data like this is so important because it helps pin you to the moment in time that you're in. And this is the moment we're living, where Bitcoin is running so fast, innovation's running so fast, adoption of decentralization and crypto, everything. It's amazing. Okay, so now some updates on what is going on in the political scene. As you would know, I'm going to skip ahead one quick tweet for you, which is really fast, because if you didn't see my video from yesterday or the day before, then maybe you don't know this, but Donald Trump officially selected his SEC chair, who will be this Paul Atkins gentleman, who actually was first, nominated or put into position under the first George Bush's presidency. He's quite the libertarian and has been pro-crypto since always, apparently. But anyway, everyone was super excited because, oh, yay, the new SEC chair is going to be pro-crypto. Our days of struggling with the SEC are over. Well, if we back up one tab, I'm not going to read it all for you in detail because it's long, but what you need to know, I'm just going to highlight the parts that are of relevance here, is that the current SEC chair, Gary Gensler, quietly behind the scenes, no announcement or nothing, he promoted a handful, I think it's like 2 or 3 of his top proteges, in a way, of bulldogs, basically, crypto hating, I'm going to say, even though I don't know their full bios, so I say this lightly, but that's basically the way he describes them, as crypto enforcement lawyers. He promoted them. So it's like chess. I don't play chess very well, but he basically knows he's out. He's going to be replaced on January 20th. So in his absence, he promoted up to the next highest ranks below the chair, which will be Paul Atkins now on January 20th, who is a pro-crypto human being. Right below him, he put in 3 not pro-crypto lawyers. So he basically created a hateful, hard situation for Paul Atkins to step into. So anyway, people are saying it's malicious and intentional because he did it quietly without any announcement, as if trying to be sneaky about it, But the truth is, who cares? And it's actually kind of funny. And I pulled up this article because I wanted to just bring it up again, because I covered this in maybe last week, 4 videos ago. But what's funny is that this is from November 29th. Yeah, so this is from last week. It's so funny because, they're breaking their head over here trying to make the SEC as difficult as possible for crypto, because the SEC currently oversees crypto, or hasn't actually, because they never clarified any regulatory laws for crypto. So they've just been finding everyone guilty and suing everybody without having clear guidelines. So not the most, it doesn't demonstrate the best intentions, right? If you don't give people rules to play by and then you punish them. But anyway, it's funny because last week, Trump's getting ahead of it, because his administration reportedly has announced that they're going to let the CFTC regulate Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ethereum spot, and most likely a lot more of the crypto space as well. And the CFTC is the independent governing body. It's the Commodities Future Trading Commission. And so he's, which is more fitting, right? Because so many different cryptocurrencies are more so commodities than securities. So it's funny because you see this, these chess moves happening in politics, and Trump's just going to change the structure altogether as to how cryptocurrencies are even evaluated. And regardless, one more point, the truth is that even with these crypto bulldog attorneys, attorneys under Paul Atkins. Who cares? There may be some good that comes from it, because they're just going to, it's going to create a really refining process by which cryptocurrencies are regulated and allowed to trade and do business openly. So I think in the end, the good guy always wins, as we've seen with Trump. So it's fine. Anyway, let's move on for some more. Let's listen to some more interesting news. This is actually an interview by Jerome Powell, who's like head of the Federal Reserve. And if you don't know, the Federal Reserve is actually not part of the government. It's like a completely private company that came into effect a long, long time ago when there was like problems, right, in the banking system. So anyway, like current day, like us, the people, we have inherited this old system. So anyway, the current chair is Jerome Powell, and he is being interviewed here, and he explains how Bitcoin is just like gold. It's only virtual, it's digital, it's really a competitor for gold and not the US dollar. I'm gonna play it for you and you can come to your own conclusions, but really you can also hear the ignorance, and I mean this not in a disrespectful way, but it's just literally ignorance, even from him, in terms of what Bitcoin really is. So I don't disagree. Of course, Bitcoin is it's digital gold, so that is more so its equivalent, but it has a limited understanding, let's put it that way, and you can hear it in his explanation. Either way, it's good.
Before I forget, one of the reasons I wanted to actually ask about Bitcoin is, to some degree, people think that is a symbol of people's faith or lack of faith in either the US dollar or in the Federal Reserve itself, in terms of the system. What do you think of that idea?
I don't think that's how people think about it. I mean, it's so, people use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual, it's digital. People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile.
Of course they are.
It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold. That's really how I think of it.
So
Before I forget,
that's how he thinks of it, and that's fine. It is a store of value, and people do use it to pay for things. But the point is, the silver lining here is that he explains it as digital gold, and he's an influential person, and there's a lot of old school people, especially listening to him, and this is good. He would describe it that way because it's going to help a lot more people be receptive to it. And as we know, many banks, including Chase, I think it's Bank of America as well, the last I checked and heard, they are looking into offering Bitcoin as well to their customers. So this is great, because now they're going to walk into a bank and, be offered the opportunity to buy a form of Bitcoin, not really Bitcoin, and then eventually they'll realize they can buy the actual thing. So ultimately, this is good marketing for Bitcoin. And then we have Putin, of all people, also talking about Bitcoin. So can you imagine Russia being as enormous of a country as it is? I think is it like the largest country in the world, or is it China? It is an enormous country. And so to hear, President Putin talk about Bitcoin this way, I don't know if he's a president or the dictator, but probably both. This is also incredible marketing for Bitcoin.
The share of the US in the world economy is reducing, and it means that the influence of dollar on world economic processes is also reducing. That is why, quite naturally, we see processes with the use of other instruments. For instance, Bitcoin. Who can prohibit the use of it? No one.
Wow.
Or the use of other electronic ways of settlements. No one can ban the use of them, because these are new technologies. Anything can happen with dollar. These instruments will continue developing because everyone will try to reduce costs and to make these instruments more reliable. This is inevitable. And dollar has nothing to do with it. But if we see that the use of dollar is reduced if they do it themselves, they will undermine the basis of their own economic dominance. This is obvious, and I absolutely agree with you on that.
So I'll pause it there. It's clearly part of a larger conversation regarding the US dollar, because I think it was yesterday that Donald Trump, he released some statements saying that any country that, steps away from using the US dollar in trade, they're going to face sanctions, all these things. So we'll see ultimately how Trump navigates these global conversations, because we know there's BRICS, right? Like Brazil, Russia, India, and it's not China, or is it, that are breaking away to create their own trading currency. But I know that many of them are coming back to the table to talk about, getting back on good terms with the US and trading and the US dollar now that Trump is going to be president. But who knows? The truth is, we don't know what conversations are going on behind the scenes. We know that Trump is ultimately a businessman. He's strategic and he doesn't have all the answers. That's why he surrounds himself and has been electing extremely intelligent, strategic people to his cabinet to help advise and guide him and create a strategy. And ultimately, keeping the world at peace has been one of Trump's top priorities and has been part of his reputation from his last term as president. So, he's going to find a way. We'll see what happens. But the main takeaway that we need to take from this video is that we are receiving so much international publicity for Bitcoin like we've never seen before. And that's because Bitcoin is just surpassed and crashed through 100K. So can you imagine how much further Bitcoin's going to run? Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. And if you can see my chart, my screen right now, you would see this incredible chart that basically compares Bitcoin to internet users as they've adopted either technology, right? So Bitcoin's in orange, the internet's in black, and you can see how year by year, you can see how many more in the millions new users there were to the internet leading up to 2005, for instance. And then next to it, you can see Bitcoin, and you can see how Bitcoin is outpacing, it's outrunning the internet's adoption rates. So at this rate, we can only imagine, oh my God, we should be seeing an adoption rate at almost up to 400 million users or people in the crypto market based on this chart. That is unbelievable. So that helps us get a glimpse of how much more money will be in Bitcoin and in the crypto market, because each of these people are going to bring money. It's amazing. And here we have Brian Armstrong, the CEO and founder at Coinbase, who also met with Trump. This was like in the news 2 weeks ago, and who was also harassed by the SEC. So thankfully those days are almost over for them. And they're rolling out super awesome app and so much good for them. He just gives us some food for thought here. And he just outlines for us, if you had bought $100 of Bitcoin when Coinbase was founded in in June of 2012, that Bitcoin, that $100 worth of Bitcoin would now be worth $1,500,000. And if you had kept that $100 instead of putting it into Bitcoin, you'd only be able to purchase $73 worth of goods. Because as we know, and I've covered in past videos, the US dollar has lost 25% of its purchasing power, I think in the last year. And he wraps it up by saying Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the last 12 years. And it's still early days, guys. Every government, especially those looking to create a hedge against inflation, should create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Happy Bitcoin 100K day. I think this is a new day in history. Just like there's the Bitcoin pizza day, there's now going to be the Bitcoin 100K day. I'm calling it. You heard it here first. I believe so. Amazing. That's sad. And we're going to shift gears a little bit now and start talking about where the market is going next. Because this is what I know is on everyone's mind. This is when you're going to make all the money, but how do we do it, right? This is how we know we're officially in altcoin season. The altcoin season index is well above 75, which marks the beginning of altcoin season. We're at 84. Earlier today, we were at 90. So as Elijah Boom here on Twitter says, you need to lock in. This is when we all need to really lock in. The next 4 to 6 months is where we're going to make all our money. So I'm so happy you're here, and I hope you continue to tune in, because I will continue to make these videos for you Monday through Friday, no matter what, so that you know what's going on in the market and you can feel informed. So amazing. And one of the first telling signs is when Ethereum swells, right? We've talked about this for the last 2 weeks almost. So as we can see on my screen here, Ethereum's ETF inflows have continued to surge. We had one of the highest days in the last week, yesterday ending with $167.7 million worth of inflows into Ethereum. Unbelievable. But as Michael Nadeau from Just Do It. Do it. Funny. He breaks this all down, and there's a lot to go through here. I will not read it for you because it is long, but you can take some screenshots if you want, because there's two main tweets, like really beautiful thoughts I want to share with you before you leave this video. And they really summarize how we need to go into this parabolic phase of the bull run, like altcoin season. Like, how do we need to think about things? What do we need? Like, I really want to cover them with you, and I don't want this video to get so long. So I can't go through this tweet in detail with you here, but you can go find it, take a screenshot. And he basically describes how many inflows, how many Bitcoin ETFs are owned by all the institutional funds, and then how many are owned by, like, how many institutional funds own Ethereum or have invested in Ethereum's ETFs. And basically, Ethereum's ETFs are only at 10% of these institutions' Bitcoin ETF holdings, if that makes sense. So these institutional funds, put simply, they own 90% more, or are betting on and investing 90% more into Bitcoin's ETFs than they are into Ethereum's ETFs. So there's a disparity because Ethereum's market cap is a lot more than that of Bitcoin's. So maybe if you're not really deep into crypto, this may just seem like a lot of gibberish and you want to like click away from this video right now. And this is why I'm not going into this tweet in detail. But if you are a crypto OG, then this may be very interesting to you. So I'll scroll slowly so you can take screenshots or go find it. But essentially, all it's really saying here is that right here, it's summarized. It looks like we're setting up for a classic rotation, right? Or transfer of wealth, with institutions displaying the same behavior we've previously seen from crypto natives and retail, meaning that these institutions are not dumb, they're smart. And even if they're not crypto OGs, they have hired the best of the best to help advise them and get a handle on the way the crypto bull runs work. And so if they have been following my channel, for instance, just kidding, or are in the know-how at all, then they would know that Ethereum is where the value is going to move next. So if they want to make money, which they're in the business of, this tells them, especially now that Bitcoin crashed through 100K, just was flying to the moon, this tells them that it's a good time to go roll a lot of their money, their holdings, their value into Ethereum's ETFs. So we can expect a surge, is what I'm saying here. We can expect a surge in the next few days, probably not through the weekend because they don't trade on the weekend. There's probably OTC under the table deals going on, but they don't openly, trade on the market. So definitely, very likely by tomorrow, guys, by Friday, definitely by Monday or Tuesday. I'm just going to say it's very likely we're going to see a surge in Ethereum ETFs. And very, very likely we're going to see Ethereum start to soar because, as you can see on my screen here, by Raoul Pal, who's right oftentimes, and he's the one who coined the banana phrase concept in terms of what phase we're entering into in this crypto parabolic bull run sprint. He basically shows us a chart and he tells us that Ethereum is primed based on this wedge formation to be breaking out. Like this formation, if you're a pro trader, you would know more than me, but we are testing. You can see right here, we are testing. You see how we broke through the wedge? So Ethereum is very likely looking to pop off, like I said. And as he says, it may pull back a little bit just to kind of like catch its breath, right? And then it'll take off. So hang tight, guys. By the time this video is released, we may be seeing signs of this, or maybe by tomorrow. It's only Thursday, so we still have like a whole day and a half, depending on where you are in the world. But we can expect Ethereum to be breaking out like now, any moment. And as is validated here by Captain Fabic, Crypto Fabic is his account on Twitter. He says, ETH is on the verge of a historical breakout. A decisive breakout could mark the start of Ethereum's 2024-25 bull run. He says his midterm target is 10K. Very likely because we have institutions playing with us now as well. So very, very likely, guys. But be careful, okay? Be so careful. We're so early in this bull run. It's not a time to be losing your money, okay? So please trade with caution if you're going to do anything. And then here we have it also from Benjamin Cohen. He says, last cycle, ETH also lagged and did not put in any new all-time highs until January of the post-halving year. This is fairly normal behavior for Ethereum. He says ETH BTC pair should go up in 2025. So both of them. That said, these are all things for you just to be aware of and know that Ethereum could explode like right around now, by the end of this week, next week, or we may also, if it's going to play out at all like it has in the past cycles, we may see Ethereum break out in January after the holidays, because as I've said, people want to chill and hang out and eat and spend time with their families during the holidays. And if everyone is doing that at the same time, then the whole market kind of settles down, right? So these are things for you to be aware of what might happen. That said, that's why I personally would not encourage you to put any longs in or shorts. That's my strategy. Be safe. Don't lose your money. Okay. Just consider the tokens I bring you, and I will always tell you if they're high risk or they're blue chips or why they're interesting. But okay, guys. So this is where we get into what I actually wanted to talk to you about. The video's almost over, so hang tight. Okay. But I'm just going to read it and just think about it and listen to it again. If you have to, take a screenshot of the screen. But this is so important. Okay, so this is by pure_patience on Twitter. They speak in terms of bullet points. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase it for you, but they say, there's consistent gains approach, like just making money consistently throughout this bull run. And then there is the life-changing gains, like make money that transforms your life. Okay, there's two sort of like schools of thought or philosophies in crypto and desires that people have. He says, so this post may seem obvious to some of you, but I'm going to write it anyway, he says. And I'm so happy he did. He goes, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to take the point of view of someone with 10K USD portfolio, like $10,000, looking to buy some spot positions. So if you're going to go for the consistent gains, like this is your desire, right? You just want to consistently, slow and steady, like the turtle and the hare, like the turtle and the rabbit little story, child story. If you want to go the turtle route and just nice and slow does it and, keep making money progressively, then this is your approach, okay? You're going to accomplish this by finding trends and trends or tokens that are trending that have established strength. Okay, they've proven to have a strong community. They've proven to have ongoing marketing, because it's easy to come out with a flashy token and then not have any more marketing. The token's going to crash. So if you see a crypto token that has a strong community, they have ongoing marketing, then that's a trend that has established strength. And so a good bet might be to jump into those tokens. He goes, so if you've been on crypto Twitter for the last year or so, these things should seem obvious. So if you've been in crypto for at least a year and you've been following my channel and like following key people, as I mentioned a moment ago, then you should have an idea of like what I mean by this, right? And then he lists them out, like RWAs, like Ondo, like AI memes, right? He goes, right now, retail is just stepping into the altcoin arena. So retail is just waking up. This is why we're seeing, some of our like what we call dino coins, which I'll get into in like a second here. We see them all waking up, right? Like Ripple just pumped for the first time ever. You have like crazy coins like XRP pumping, like Cardano, crazy, right? So they're just like, retail is just waking up. They're seeing Trump got elected, Bitcoin's pumping. Oh, maybe I should come back to crypto, right? He goes, so they're trending towards comfort, towards what they know already. That's why you're seeing these dino coins pump, right? Because it's what they knew from previous cycles, as I highlight on the screen. He goes, hence the reason dino coins, and previous cycles, strong coins are catching bids right now. I actually said this in my video yesterday before I read this. So I agree with him because I literally said this yesterday. He goes, but eventually that liquidity rotation will seek this cycle's strength because they're waking up, they're joining the party, and then they're going to realize who's actually hot in the room, right? And they're going to go over there, right? He goes, so he gives it a 95 chance that the top RWAs, AI, and memes will eventually catch a 5, 15, 15x or multiple, right? Multiply times 5 to 10 to 15 times. So if you have a $10,000 portfolio looking for some spot positions, you can make arguably very consistent gains by just buying into that strength and trend. So you don't have to go crazy. This parabolic phase, like I know I call it a crazy parabolic phase. Maybe like it makes you panic a little bit. So I don't mean it that way, nor do I want you to feel that way. It just means like the time is now to be switched on. That's all that means. But you can pick which approach you want to get into, and let me know if you want me to make videos on just one of these topics with maybe a more detailed strategy. But this is it in a nutshell. Okay, so that's one strategy. And if you do this, you can probably capture a $50,000 to $150,000 in gains, but it requires patience and can be boring waiting for your coin to pump. He goes, so yes, there are people who can make life-changing gains from this stuff, but those people tend to have massive spot size or like amount of money, right? And or are using leverage, which I don't advise because it's very, very risky. So you only should leverage what you can afford to say goodbye to forever, because that might happen. So that's the first approach, the nice and steady turtle approach. Okay. The next approach is the fast and furious, and this is probably the most popular of all of them. This is what people hear about when they think of crypto, and this one requires you to make asymmetrical bets. What does that mean? It requires you to make very, very risky bets where you kind of like put all your chips on the table. You need to do a lot of your own research. This requires you to be in the trenches and all the like real degen chats to, go find out, get to know the friends and like the founders of each token. So you're in the know-how of what's going on. Actually, if you just follow my channel, you will know these things because I share these things with you. But that's what it requires. It requires you to do your own research. It requires a lot of personal responsibility because it's a lot of money you put into something. You can make a lot more money, right? But that's very risky. And those projects and coins tend to be outside of the already established trending metas. So these are often going to be like the very new narrative that no one has talked about yet. That there's like nothing, like what category, think of it, what category of token does not exist in crypto right now? I don't know. They pretty much all exist. Like what? I don't know. I don't know which one doesn't exist, but that's how you have to think, and you have to be obsessive about it. And oftentimes you have to really like it too, because if you don't like something, you're not going to really pay attention. Next, you need to also understand that you're not guaranteed to win no matter how good your thesis is. So that's the asymmetrical bet part, where you have to be willing to go all in and take your risk and not blame anyone else. You have to be willing to do your own research, willing to bet on your instincts, your well-researched instincts. But if you hit that asymmetrical bet, you can capture those 20 to 100 times like gains, 100-time gains. So last season, things like Tell, Axis, AXS, or Bored Ape Yacht Club, and CryptoPunks were examples of these. So, and those tokens were not the consensus of the trend or strength for the altcoin metas, but people who spotted them early had their own thesis and their own conviction and patience, and made those big life-changing 10K to 8-figure trades. So almost all of this post both seems easy in theory, but they're not. Having your own conviction and patience in things, while the entire like Twitter, like the entire space is seemingly making life-changing gains on stuff like dino coins, is incredibly hard. But if you've been around for the last year or so, you need to understand and be confident in the fact that your crypto knowledge is immensely higher than that of newly joining retail participants. So he tells you have some confidence in yourself if you've been here, especially for a year. Let them enjoy their dino comfort coins for now. They will eventually come FOMOing into the new thing. So you can expect that value to be rolling over into what's actually hot and trending right now in the crypto space. So you just like, it's a matter of being patient and just letting the water or the value trickle from like one pot into the other. Because as you can see here, and this just validates what we read a moment ago, this is why we're seeing XRP being bought, being scooped up at tremendous levels. And then here, this is also extremely valuable. I know this video has gotten so long, but I really want to read it to you. I hope it's okay. It says it's by Stock Money L. And it's just another reminder for us as we go into this parabolic phase of this altcoin season. So I have to read it to you. But he says, this is by Stock Money L, as I said. He says, the only thing I read these days is how effing rich everyone will be, and that portfolios will make 100x or 1,000 multiples, 1,000-time multiples, right? He says, however, what is about to come will be the biggest test of your character. This is like the most important part of this whole video. You will feel tempted to watch your portfolio grow every day. You will calculate how big your fortune will be once shitcoin X hits, crazy multiple. You will feel tempted to share screenshots with your normie friends. You will feel tempted to buy more with every dip and correction, and even more with every new high. You will feel tempted to exceed your predefined risk and position sizes for a single coin. You're going to obsess over one specific token, very likely in this bull run. The deeper we go into the alt season, the shittier the coins will be. You feel tempted to buy. So just remember that. When you find yourself wanting to buy like crazy, FOMOing into like the dumbest coin ever, like that's a sign you need to calm down. This will be the ultimate test. Only those who stay calm, who can endure the 30%, 50%, 70% correction and not freak out and leave the table, as well as those that can handle a 100% pump, a 300% pump, or a 500% pump will make it. You have to be calm. The plan is important. This always sounds cryptic, but what it means is actually be realistic in terms of targets. Have targets in the first place. How much money do you want to make, right? And make sure you take a little bit of profits along the way, especially as I tell you to take profits, because I will be telling you along the way when to take some profit. Know your timelines and know your exits. Accumulate when prices are low. If you don't know when they are low, look at RSI or follow this channel. And most importantly, be aware of when the cycle ends. When the cycle end is in sight. Recognizing it is hard because you're just going to see dollar signs in your eyes. But there are clear signs. MSM reporting on shitcoins, double top with low value. Okay, these are all like TA signs, technical analysis. Or you just follow my channel and I'll explain things to you. It says, nonetheless, it will be great, but only if you preserve some humbleness. I couldn't agree more. I hope you gained value. I hope you are excited that we've crashed and surpassed 100K and that we're officially in altcoin season, the parabolic phase of the bull run. But that doesn't mean you should panic. It does mean you should have a plan. It does mean you should know exactly how much you want to make this bull run and stick to it. It does mean you should commit to your education and your success this parabolic phase of the bull run, and follow my channel and follow key people like I told you to do earlier in this video, and stay plugged in, because this is when you can make life-changing money. One way or the other. One way or the other. Only if you pay attention. So that said, guys, I will see you guys here tomorrow. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Ciao.